So you're going to court. Like most people, you probably feel nervous. After all, you're not an expert in the law. In this video, you'll learn about the court system, some things you must do before you go to court, and what to expect when you get there. People go to court for many reasons. You may be accused of breaking the law. You may be having a business problem. Or you may have seen something that the court wants to know about. The courts are responsible for making sure that federal, state, and local laws are applied fairly. The courts are not part of the police department or other law enforcement agency. This separation is important because the courts must be impartial, meaning they cannot favor one side over another. Always pay attention to any information or letter that you receive from the court. Read everything carefully. There are two kinds of court cases: civil cases and criminal cases. Civil cases relate to housing issues, business conflicts, and family issues like child custody. If no law has been broken, the issue will be heard in civil court. In civil cases, one person or group, a party, says that another party harmed them. Here, the court's job is to solve legal problems. At the end of the case, courts sometimes order one party to pay money to the other party. In criminal cases, a person is accused of breaking a law or laws. Criminal cases include all offenses, from traffic tickets and other minor offenses to serious crimes like assault, robbery, and murder. In criminal cases, the judge listens to the charges against a defendant. A defendant is the person accused of breaking the law. The judge will describe the specific law or laws that the person is accused of breaking. This may be your first court appearance if you are accused of breaking the law. Prosecutors represent the state in court and explain why the defendant has been accused. They will describe the charges in depth, give evidence, and bring in witnesses to support the evidence presented. After listening to the evidence from both sides, the judge decides if a defendant is guilty or not guilty. Sometimes a jury is asked to decide. If the defendant is found guilty, the judge also decides how the person should be punished. You have some important decisions to make before you go to court. You will need to decide if you want to work with a lawyer. Lawyers are experts in the law and the court system. They can help you understand your rights and give you advice. They also can speak to the judge for you. Anything you say to your lawyer is private. Be honest and share all of the facts so they can help. Every person who is charged with a crime has the right to work with a lawyer. If you can't afford to pay a lawyer, the court may appoint a public defender to represent you. You may be required to pay some amount for this representation. If you want a lawyer to help with a civil case, you must hire one on your own. The court is required to provide services for people with disabilities to allow them to participate effectively in the legal system. These are called accommodations. You do not have to pay for these services. The court has no way of knowing if you need communications assistance, so it's up to you to tell the court what kind of communications assistance you prefer. Do this as soon as possible so the court can make arrangements. The court clerk or the court's disability services coordinator can help. If you are viewing this video from jail, ask law enforcement staff for assistance. If you are going to court on a civil matter, you can use the accommodations request form on the court's website. The court can arrange specially trained ASL interpreters who are trained to work in the legal system, certified deaf interpreters who are trained to interpret legal proceedings for deaf people who are ASL users or who aren't fluent in ASL, access to assistive listening devices, ALDs, like FM systems or loops, and access to computer-assisted real-time transcription, or CART. The court is required to provide interpreters for both criminal and civil cases. Interpreters are chosen from a roster of ASL and certified deaf interpreters who are specially trained to interpret in court. A relative or a friend is not allowed to interpret for you. When a defendant, litigant, or witness requests interpreting assistance, the court may hire multiple interpreters based on each person's specific needs. Each interpreter has a specific purpose. A court interpreter will interpret into ASL anything that is said in the courtroom. If you need a certified deaf interpreter, or CDI, they will interpret what you say to an ASL interpreter who can then interpret for the court. Remember, interpreters can only relay what is said in the courtroom. They can't answer questions, give advice, or explain something in more detail. They can only relay what is said. Before court begins, make sure you can communicate effectively with the interpreter. Tell your lawyer or let the court know right away if you have trouble understanding the interpreter or you don't think the interpreter understands you. If you don't understand what is happening while court is in session, or you don't understand what you are being asked, tell your lawyer or the court. Your lawyer will ask the judge for time to talk with you privately. A lot of people are involved in a court appearance. Each has a specific job. The bailiff or deputy makes sure the courtroom is safe. The judge is authorized to listen to both sides and make legal decisions. The court interpreter usually stands in front of the judge, so you can see both the interpreter and the judge. If you can't understand the interpreter clearly, tell your lawyer or the judge. The jury is a group of people selected to review the evidence and testimony and make a decision. Not all cases are tried in front of a jury. In a criminal case, the defendant and their lawyer sit on the left side of the courtroom at a table facing the judge. The prosecuting lawyer sits at a table on the right side of the courtroom. In a civil case, the person who filed the lawsuit sits at a table on the right, while the person being sued sits on the left. A court reporter documents everything that is said onto a transcript. Every courtroom also has a place where witnesses tell the court what they saw. The courts have very special rules. These rules apply to everyone, whether you are deaf or hearing. Some key things to remember. Dress in nice, clean clothes. This shows that you respect the judge and the legal process. Arrive early. Do not be late. You want to meet the interpreter and make sure that you can communicate with the person effectively. If you have any concerns, tell your lawyer right away. Stand when the judge enters the courtroom. When the judge sits, you may sit. If you have a question, concern, or don't understand something, ask your lawyer or the judge. When it's your turn to speak, everyone addresses the judge as Your Honor. Stay calm. Don't swear, threaten, or get angry. Answer questions simply and clearly. Tell the truth. It's a crime to lie in court. Stick to the facts. Never offer money to judges or court employees. This is illegal and a very serious crime. You could be prosecuted. If you don't know the answer to a question, say, I don't know. If you can't remember, say, I don't remember. Sometimes, especially if you are going to court in a rural area, An interpreter may not be able to drive to that courtroom in time for the hearing. If this happens, the court may arrange to have an interpreter join the hearing using video technology. This is called Video Remote Interpreting, or VRI. This technology is only used for short hearings, when an interpreter is not able to come to that courtroom in person. Hearings conducted through VRI are held in a local courtroom that is equipped with special video technology. The hearings are secure and private, and the remote interpreter will interpret everything in the court. Your courtroom will be connected to another location using the court's independent video system, or ITV. Both the courtroom and the other location are equipped with the same technology. A judge will preside over the hearing and ensure the VRI interpreter can be seen, and the hearing is able to move forward. You can use the VRI system to meet the interpreter before court begins. It's important to make sure that you can communicate effectively with the interpreter. During a VRI hearing, the only thing different is that the interpreter will not be with you in person, but you will see them on the large TV screen while they interpret. If you need to talk with your lawyer confidentially, tell your lawyer. Your lawyer will ask the judge for permission to speak privately. The judge will ask everyone, except for you and your lawyer, to leave the courtroom so you can talk with your lawyer with the interpreter. After your court appearance, make sure you understand the judge's decision. For example, if you are convicted in a criminal court and found guilty, you may be sentenced to probation or jail time. Or you may need to pay a fine. Be sure you understand exactly what you need to do and when it needs to be done. If you are still not clear what to do after a hearing, you can ask the interpreter to help you communicate with your lawyer. You can then clarify anything you need. The information we've presented is important to understand. There are a few things more for you to do. You need to decide what kind of accommodations you will need. Then, you must notify the court. If you are watching this video in jail, the person who provided the video should be able to help. You also need to decide if you will use a lawyer. If you are being charged with a crime and want a public defender to help you, the judge will explain how you can apply to have a lawyer appointed. Law Help is an online resource that helps people with low or moderate incomes to find legal resources. You can learn more at their website. The Minnesota Disability Law Center also might be able to assist you. And remember, always ask for help when you need it. Best of luck.